Welcome to everybody. This is 10 January 2020. In Australia, it's now 8:30 in the morning. And then obviously in America, Pacific Standard Time. In California, I believe it's 2:30 in the afternoon on Thursday afternoon. Welcome to everybody from around the world. This is Marius Landman, and welcome to all the members from around the world live, as well as if you are watching this video. Today, I'm going to present something really amazing that we have picked up in our algorithm data. Remember that we have been going sideways, downwards for a very, very long time. And let's quickly get into this, and I'm going to show you this. I'm here now on the Bitfinex chart, the 12-hour chart. And right here at the top here, at the top of 26 June, Bitcoin created a high point. Then we've been going sideways downwards for a extremely long time. Now, what is interesting at this point here, when we identified that big spike coming, we saw that coming in our algorithm data, and recall that we said there's going to be a spike. It's going to be called Catapult 1, and it's going to hit up to about $10,500, and it hit our target almost exactly. Very interesting that from this point here till about exactly this point here where the big spike happened, that 18th of December, is 53 days right there exactly where that spike occurred on 18 December 2019. Now, what is significant about this? Remember that we came out about 2 weeks before that, which was about the 6th of December. And then I said that it's impossible that we can go longer than the 18th of December. And many of you guys that were on this call heard me say that, and I said that if we do not break out on the 18th, we are going to go down to a very low number of about 1867 Bitcoin, and potentially as low as $100 Bitcoin. And we were anticipating, and I was ready with my finger on the pulse to send an urgent message out to all our members across the world and say that I recommend that we get out of the market. We will buy Bitcoin back at a very low number, 1867, if not about $100. But then that spike will go down very quickly, and the spike upwards will be very quickly, and at no time we'll be back up to these levels again. Now, what we need to understand is that these 53 days plus approximately 40 days and 40 nights, which gives us about 93 days, were extra built into this pattern to bring the market down. Ultimately, to bring about a psychological low to get people to sell out of cryptos and never ever to come back. The amount of people that have now closed down their Bitcoin and cryptocurrency accounts is in the millions. People cashed out and they moved back, and they will probably not come back until Bitcoin hits $20,000. It's the wrong thing to do. Congratulations to those people who actually stuck with it and that were patient. We did everything possible to find out where the bottom is. Because think about this now. When you go downwards to this level here, you get an A there and a B there. That's your double bottom. From this double bottom, you should spike out and break out. And it didn't occur. As a matter of fact, the first breakout really should have occurred basically here, and that should have taken us way up to about 20,000. The second breakout should have occurred there. The third breakout should have occurred there. And at that point, we started looking at different analysis, different targets, different coins, different stock market charts. And that is when we got back into Apple and we started looking and seeing, but what happened in Apple if we look at it from a larger perspective? And from a larger perspective, what we found is that between 1998, more or less 1998, till about 2004, that Apple created an algorithm major trend reversal. Let's call it a mathematical reversal. That means that you come down to the bottom and it simply just pushes up like that. It's a big move. From this point here, right to that point there, where we have broken out now, at that point there, in my opinion, that is the low. We're not going to go and break this low. I see on social media, on Twitter, on TradingView, I see thousands and thousands of charts where people now are saying that we are now going to come back here and break down to about $5,000. I can tell you now that that is not going to happen. What is interesting about this date here, if you look at this time,
Bogey. Galaxy, can you please mute your computer?
Bill, I'm just going to make you the co-host as well. At least we've got a few dogs on the call. So, I mean, yeah, that's it, man. Every man and his dog is getting into cryptos. There we go. Okay. Now, very interesting, guys. Just follow with me here. If you look at this from this low point here, or this time frame here of about 84 or 90 days, okay? This 90 days, believe it or not, equals about 5 years in Apple. This shows you, and this should tell you how fast cryptocurrencies in terms of Bitcoin is actually moving. I want you to understand that. We are thinking that cryptocurrencies are moving very slowly. But in terms of gains, mathematical percentage gains, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are going to outperform at the end of the day a stock like Apple or Microsoft or any other stock in the world by thousands of %. I can't remember how much millions of % are we up from the bottom now in the last 10 years, but show me one stock that is even close to that in that short period of about 10 years. So what you literally see here in 90 days is what Apple did over a period of 5 years. And we are speeding up, but it looks slow. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. Now, this is an attribute to what's happening in the changes in the world. We have to zoom out and look at the big picture. There's going to be gains that's going to be made here in this year that will be phenomenal gains. All that has happened here is that we have been slowed down for 93 days. 93 days. Now remember this, our cycle pattern ended here on 18 December 2019. I say that we cannot go lower than 18 December. And if we do, the market is going to break down. It's the first time in the history of Bitcoin that we have exhausted 100% of the cycle pattern. In every single cycle pattern that we have identified, we have exhausted a maximum of approximately 75%. This tells me that there are forces bigger than you, bigger than me, that are controlling the entire crypto world. It's very important that we take note of this. Now, what I'm going to do, just for the purposes of all the new people that are going to watch this video and that are logged in here today, I'm going to go through the 8 January report here quickly. This is report 139 and blog post number 139. Now, let's recap what occurred between 17 December and 8 January. Bitcoin created a mathematical low on 17 December at approximately 6.4, depending on the exchange you use. In our report of 6 December, we stated the week of 18 December is the start of the Bitcoin uptrend, the 2 weeks in advance that we did it. And it will pull most to all coins upwards. Now, Bitcoin is heading up to $12,000, is still the case, and Litecoin between 100 and 107. Now, the longer that we go forward sideways, that target of 100 could come down to $90 or 92 or 95. And I'm going to show you over the next few weeks what that target will be and where, and I'm going to show you shortly as well. Now, regardless of which path we take in the bottom here, we've identified these 3 points here. Remember, we said it can either be this red or pink line. It can either be this green line here or the black line here. And regardless of which pattern is taken in terms of date, we are in an upcycle towards 9 February. And perhaps into 2 April. I'm going to show you the new pattern that we've identified now. Now, we also saw the USA-Iran armed engagement. I am just trying to be polite there. And that pushed gold upwards. You see this little spike that we had here? That shouldn't have happened. But this shows you what happens when there's war or rumors of war. It pushed gold up and it pushed Bitcoin up. Now you saw that gold dropped and Bitcoin dropped. Very interesting now. Gold is now related to Bitcoin, Bitcoin related to gold. You can't separate them anymore. These are asset classes now. Bitcoin has become a financial asset class. No doubt. You can't argue anymore about that. In this cycle pattern, remember we had this 30-day cycle, and then here I say there's an XX day cycle. We're still trying to find out what that is going to be. And I'm going to show you now shortly what is going to happen there. Now, in this specific one, we talk about on page 2 about the 5 jumps. And in this report here, we show this chart, and we show 1A, 1B, we show number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we said that we will go up in 5 jumps. There's going to be 5 price explosions, as per se. Notice that 1A and 1B is now complete, 1A and 1B, and then we're heading into 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the oval patterns. Now remember, I've been talking about these oval patterns here. You can see the pattern here, the pattern there, and the pattern there. Now, in this report, we made the comment and we said that the USA will not retaliate back to Iran. If you may recall that there was instigations with attacking the American embassy, and then later on, there was attacks from Iran where they sent ballistic missiles over targeting American military bases. And the USA president had the option to retaliate, and we came out and said that we do not see the USA retaliate. Now, we said that we predict the USA will not retaliate tomorrow yet, and this will place some pressure on gold and Bitcoin and perhaps slow the movement of Bitcoin down and sideways. Expect a turnaround between 14, 15, and then between this date here, around about 18 January, there's going to be a big change in the cryptocurrency markets, and then expect a big explosion. I'm going to give you the date shortly. Although I say it appears that some event occurs between these dates, I don't really believe that it's going to be an event like a physical event that we saw, an armed engagement or a war or rumors of war. It's just literally going to be Bitcoin breaking out for no reason at all. It's going to start on a Saturday, American time, through Sunday, and then Monday. I'll give you that date shortly. It's going to be a big explosion in price. It'll take Bitcoin over 9,000. Now, in terms of the oval patterns, you can see that this pattern played out beautiful. This is the end of that 53-day cycle. From here onwards, we're creating a new cycle, and I'm going to show you that shortly. So here we had a B, C, D cycle. The algorithm pattern is done. The second one is a drop here into A, B, C, D with the explosion. As I say, don't get fooled. This is just a little bit high. It shouldn't have happened that high. Should have been lower. Now, a lot of people call this a suckers rally. It's not really a suckers rally. This is just a normal movement in terms of people that are scared. They move their money into an asset class like gold or even Bitcoin. Remember this now. You get gold, silver, and Bitcoin. I want to move it the other way around. You get Bitcoin, gold, silver. Bitcoin is the new standard of gold. Crazy, guys. What is going to happen here? Everybody says that gold is going to spike to 10,000. No. Bitcoin is the key to watch here. It's good to have a little bit of gold and more silver than gold. In my terms, I think you should invest in Bitcoin, silver, and then gold. Silver is going to spike a lot more. Now, what we do expect from this top here is that the market is going to drop into A. It's going to go up to B, C. It's going to form like an ABC correction. And then we have this spike upwards, which is going to take us to about 9,000, just over 9,000. But that spike there is going to be a vertical spike upwards. Now, many people are going to, like analysts around the world, is calling actually really now for Bitcoin actually to break down, because many people are saying it's forming a rising wedge, it's forming all sorts of bearish indicators. Who knows? It doesn't matter. You know, Bitcoin doesn't abide by Elliott wave. It doesn't do that. What you're going to see is that we are, whether that's a bearish pennant or a rising wedge or whatever that is going to be, it's going to break out. It doesn't matter what it is. My algorithm data shows a big break coming. Now let's go here to Litecoin. Litecoin hit our target perfectly between 45.9 and 48.9. Now this is the thing. The only coin that actually spiked upwards big time more than what it should was Bitcoin. Litecoin didn't do it. Ethereum didn't do it. Bitcoin Cash, not even Bitcoin Cash didn't do it. This is why we had this target 100% correct. because it's impossible that it should go higher. And it's impossible really that Bitcoin should have gone higher. But this shows us that if there is in the future another world event, you can bet your bottom dollar that you want to move back into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin will spike like gold did in the past years. That is the high point there. We expect the market here in Litecoin to come down slightly. I believe that we could hit this target here of 41. In the report, I think I said about, there we go, between 43 and 41. Trade in a range. But guys, be very, very careful, because this market, don't try and find the bottom here, because this market here, I'm going to show you what it's going to do now. It may not hit the 41 or $40 mark. Just be very careful. In my case, what I've done is I have sold from 45 upwards right there to the top. And I actually got that top of 48 point, I think 6 was the top where I sold. I intend to buy it all back. I've already placed my orders at about 41.6. Bitcoin again, remember with Bitcoin, let me just show you what I did with Bitcoin. I came out here at about 7550, and in the blog post I said limit exposure. When we say limit exposure, it doesn't mean sell everything. It's what the word says, limit exposure. Like we've said every single time, you don't sell everything. You start selling 10%, then another 10%, another 10%. This is exactly what I did. At 7550, when we had this spike here, I started limiting my exposure. I sold at 7550, the first batch of Bitcoin. As we went up and we had this first spike, I sold more. And then we had a big spike, I sold more. Then I waited, the market dropped, and then we had that big spike. And I waited to see what's happening, and I sold almost at the top. And I kid you not, I sold at about 8374 or something like that. A big batch right there at the top. It created that red candle, and the market then came down all the way. So when we say in the future, remember what I said last week, we cannot and we're not allowed, according to the SEC rules, the Securities and Exchange Commission all around the world. What I can tell you, limit exposure. So keep that in mind. This is what we will do this year. We can't say buy and sell here on the bottom. We can't tell you when to buy and when to sell. Litecoin, as I say, Litecoin is now on this retracement, and I'm going to show you now what's forming on the top. It looks like a head and shoulders. And then Bitcoin Cash hit our target perfectly on the top there, limited exposure on the top. It's going to come down, may not come down that much, but it is going to come down. Remember this, a coin like Bitcoin Cash won't come down big time because it didn't go up big. But a coin like Bitcoin, because it broke out higher than what it should, will come down a lot more. Around about 12 to 13% downtrend, and you could probably find that in Litecoin as well. Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash may be a little bit less. Now, Ethereum basically hit our target there as well, and you can expect it to come down to about 131. Not a big price reversal or downwards. It's about 140 to 133, which is about 10. And then in this report, make sure that you do read the 4 January report here below. We are going to prepare a little bit more reports in detail so that you have more information there. Now, remember this, guys, we are not a kindergarten. In the past, what I wanted to do was to make things very simple and provide less data in the reports, but still people didn't understand it. So we are going back the other way now. If you want to invest in cryptos, you need to be sharp enough to understand what the crypto market is going to do. I know that everybody on this call is extremely sharp. People know what they're doing, but this statement that I'm mentioning now is more for people watching this video in the future. We are not running a kindergarten. You yourself need to take action. You must understand what is happening in the market. Now, before I go further, what I am going to do, this chart here has got a RSI indicator here on the bottom. Okay? You can see that sometimes I use the RSI, and it's very important that you actually take note of this when you open your TradingView account and when you bring your charts up here and have a look at this. Before I go further, what I want to do, I want Wendy to come on board. Wendy's my better half. We started investing in cryptos and gold a long time ago, 2014-15. I think the first Bitcoin that I bought was around about 250 or even 150. I can't remember. It went up to about $1,000 US. I sold. But I made staggering gains of 30%. I thought I was so smart making 30%, and I sold Bitcoin. We had a stack load of Bitcoin, and I sold out. Was scared to keep it. Bought again, made 10% and sold. And Wendy didn't really know what I did because I was managing the funds of her family. But little did I know that Wendy was actually investing in cryptos herself. And she bought numerous coins, like Bitcoin and a whole bunch of other altcoins. We just by accident one evening, she was laughing, looking at her phone. And I said, "Why are you laughing?" And she said, "Oh, I'm making so much money." I looked over to her phone and I couldn't believe what I saw. I thought my 30% was big up till she showed me that one of the coins that she invested in went up 34,000% and she sold at the top. That's when I said to her, "But how do you know? How do you know how to invest in what coins? And why didn't you tell me? Here I am struggling on my own." And at that point, we started putting minds together. I started using my algorithm that I used in the oil and gas industry to import data of charts, analyze these charts, and the rest is history. We really made huge gains in 2016, 2017. Now we set up to make more gains with you. We're going to help you as well. Together, we're going to go and make a lot of money. Financial freedom is on the chart. So, Wendy, would you mind if I bring you online and I'll give you the floor?
So thank you, Marius, for having me on today. He does know, and he does talk about me sometimes on this recording. So I'm just going to let you know that a lot of people do know that I am a day trader. I actually teach scalp trading, which is something totally different than what most of you guys do here with Bitcoin Trend and Forecast, where we swing trade and we teach people how to farm coins. So there's a lot of very intelligent, smart people here, a lot more into technical analysis than I am. And I just be upfront and honest with you, I don't do a lot of that technical analysis. I started off into it when I got into crypto some time back, and I wanted to learn everything that I could. And YouTube is my teacher. So I've had to go through hundreds and hundreds of not so good videos and teaching strategies and so forth to finally learn what I needed to learn. However, Marius and his team do the better job, I must say, of the technical analysis end of it, and they do all the Fibonacci charts and Elliott wave stuff, and I can't do it any better, so why do I want to reinvent the wheel? I just use the reports for what I'm doing, but basically when I scalp trade, I don't need a lot of that information because I use different indicators. But he's asked me to come on today and try and teach you one of the indicators, which is the RSI. And I'm going to do my best to see if I can teach you some new tricks or some new little thing about the RSI that might help you in your trading and how we're swing trading. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so what is the RSI indicator? For anybody who doesn't know or is new to crypto, the Relative Strength Index is also called the RSI. And it's actually a momentum indicator which measures the magnitude of recent price changes. So it actually shows us what the coin, if it's overbought or oversold. And these areas are very critical and very important to know when to buy and sell. They're actually signals for us. It identifies the trend reversals. It is also one of the most popular technical indicators to use for trading. And a lot of people just disregard the RSI as not one of the most important, and especially like with what I do, we use the MACD often, we use the volume, we use the candles are probably what I would consider the most important, following the moving averages and how to set them up on your trading view. But the RSI actually shows the temperature of the market, which is very, very critical when you're trading. The readings are from 0 to 100 within the RSI. So they are shown in the form of an oscillator. For those people who are really off into technical analysis, I've done up this chart for you so that you can figure out how the RSI actually is created by using the average numbers of days that the coin actually closes up, and you divide that over the actual number of days that the coin actually closes down. So that actually gives you your RSI indication and how it's moving in the RSI chart. So for instance, the default setting for RSI is a 14-day. And so the total points over the 14-day period on the up and the down trends are what makes the RSI on the 14-day. So I'm just going to give you that as an example. So a lot of people, when I'm teaching, they don't understand what the term means in the crypto world, or actually in the financial world, about what oversold and overbought means, and how. So I'm going to explain that to you, because I get this question often asked of me. So oversold, this means that the coin is trading under its true value, and it indicates a probability that coin will rebound to the upside. This is critically important for your buy signal. So the RSI, when it goes under 30 or less, it indicates that the coin is now in oversold, okay? Overbought is just the opposite. This means that the coin is trading at a premium, and it indicates that there's a high probability of a correcting downturn. So what that tells us is that when the RSI goes above 70, that indicates the coin is overbought. And these are your key signals. So I've created this chart for you to be able to see just generally the path of the coin, the moving average of the candles, as you can see, in relation to what is an RSI down here at the bottom. So the circled points here indicate where the candles and the moving average line is on when you should buy. So when you see in the RSI that it drops below the line, now the red line down there at the bottom is your 30 line. Okay, so when it drops below that, you will see that it's oversold. Can you mute somebody, please, honey? There's a lot of noise on there.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, so these two bottom signals are buy signals. When it's oversold, you want to be able to look for the buy opportunity. Over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that it is jumped above the 70. That means it's overbought. So on a scale of 0 to 10, being 0 in the middle, you'll see the oversold bought. And can everybody hear me now? Jeez. Okay.
Okay, we can.
Yep.
Okay,
No.
so hopefully everybody heard me. Do I need to start over?
No, we all heard you. I just muted everybody and
Oh, you muted me
Yeah.
at the same time. Okay, great. So just to go over this again, the RSI is at the bottom, and the red line is 30, and the top green line is 70. And as you can see, I put in here what the settings are for the standard default for, this is for swing trading. So the period is 14, the overbought is 70, and the oversold is 30. And we do change these in TradingView for what I do in scalp trading or day trading, but for the normal and what you're needing to know in swing trading, it's 14, 70, and 30. So the 70 line is the green line. And as you can see over here on the right-hand side of the screen, that's showing overbought. That is your signal that the market is going to change and reverse. Or reversal, as you can see up here, is when the candles start turning red. So anytime that it extends past the 70, you're going to start looking for a trend reversal, and you'll need to start looking at selling. And the opposite is over here for buying. When it drops below the 30, those are your signals to buy in, and that you need to start looking at buying opportunities of when the trend is going to get ready to reverse. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide now. Now, I found this strategy online, and I want to share it with you because it's a very unique strategy that you can use for a trading signals tool. So if you use a short period, meaning an RSI 5, and you use it against the default strategy of an RSI 14 period, then, and you watch for these crossovers, it's a strategy that some traders are using to figure out the signals. So I put it in this presentation below that when the 5 crosses above the 14, this is what you need to look for, that it means that the recent prices are getting higher, and this is one of your buy signals. Somebody is using this strategy quite well and producing profits off of it. So when the 5 crosses below the 14, it means that the recent prices are now declining, and this is a strong signal to sell. It doesn't always work 100%, but it is a very, very good indicator to help you when you're making your decisions in buying and selling and farming coins. And I want to show you guys just a little bit of live what I'm doing here and how to set up your indicator, if you'll just give me a few minutes to do that. But now my trading view may look a lot different from yours. I do have the pro version, but it's not really necessary. I just use more than 3 indicators. So this is what my trading view looks like, and I use this for scalp trading. But as you can see here, the Bollinger Band is highlighted in yellow, and I outline my Bollinger Band in black so that I can see the tops and the bottoms. But what I want you to look at down here is the RSI. The RSI I have set to 6 close because I scalp trade, but for you, you should set it at 14. That's usually the default that will come up when you're doing trading view. But this is actually what it looks like, and I'm going to highlight it a little bit more for you so you can see that on a 6 close, this is a 6-day close average. You can see how many times that it goes above here and below here on the schedule, and it will correspond up here with the buy and the sell signals. So as you can see, I also want to show a lot of you this divergence indicator. This is something that I know a lot of people aren't using, but it is a really cool tool if you want to use your divergence indicator. And I have mine set up to 6 and 2 close, which is what I use for scalp trading. But for you guys, you will use the standard defaults that are set in there. But it's really cool because it actually shows the bearish sell trends, and it shows the bullish buy trends. And it actually just gives you the little signals there. A lot of people don't know it's there, but it's located up here in your indicators. If you look and you do the drop down here, well, you got to go down to the regular menu here. Okay, and if you look down, you can see all these different indicators that you can choose from. But if you go down to, I believe it's divergence indicator, there it is right there. Okay, so you can find it yourself, and it will populate itself up right here. And I use this because I like these little green tags and these little red tags, because this is telling me from the trading view perspective when I should be looking at possibly buying and selling and corresponding up here. So hopefully that explains it a little bit better for you guys. And I'm going to turn it back over to Marius, and I'm not sure if I taught all you smart people something, but the RSI indicator is something that is overlooked, and especially using the divergence indicator, I think it's something really good to use to help you make those decisions a little bit better when you're farming coins. So thank you for your time, and I hope you learned something.
Let's go back here to 16 December 2018. And remember this, guys, I want you to understand that everything in the world works in cycles. It's the same in the oil and gas industry. When I stand in front of the CEO of the biggest and largest oil and gas company and I present my work to them, they are just flabbergasted. When I talk about a cycle and I tell them, for example, that look, we started on this date, certain amount of time, let's say 90 days or 100 or 2 years, whatever that cycle is, this event is going to happen again. And then the same event, if you take that again, 90 days later, it's going to happen again. Why? Because we as humans are built in patterns, in cycles, in dates. Everything works in a time frame, in a cycle. Your body, your mind, your thinking process works exactly the same. Now, let me show you what we are finding here, and I want you to pay very close attention. Year 16 December 2018, actually on 15 December, Bitcoin created a low point, okay? So 16 December is the following day. This was in 2018. From there, the market went up, it dropped, broke out here every 53 days. Look at this, 53 days, a significant break. 53 days, a significant break. 53 days, a significant break. And guys, please, I'm saying this again, keep my data private. Don't send it out to anybody that's not a member. And for goodness sake, don't send this data to any banking organization or financial institution. Okay, please, we can't do this. The more these people at Wall Street know that we know their plan, the more difficult they're going to make the algorithm. And the more difficult it's going to be for me to provide the data to you. So we've got this 53-day cycle here. At this point here, it ended with a drop right there at that point there, which was 16 July. We thought at this point here that the market is going to break out here, and it didn't do that. Remember I said it should have broken out 4 times and it didn't, and we went down into this trend here. At this point here, you can see here that we've got 53 days, and then we've got about 15 days that turn from July into July. Okay, now every 30 days, this is the 30-day cycle, this white block that you see here. The market went down every 30 days, down, up slightly. It means that it started on a low, it ended at a higher point than the previous low. Then the high point there is into a low point there. Now this is where it got confusing, and why nobody in the world would have ever thought that this is the play. Many people around the world are drawing these charts like this, and they say that this is the channel line. We all have been dubbed and fooled by Wall Street. That's not the case. What is happening here, this break here, which we call the Catapult 2, was the break where they brought in another 53-day cycle from a high point to a low point right there. And this is actually what created this AMTR, the Algorithm Major Trend Reversal. As a matter of fact, this one should have been there. This one should have been a little bit higher. It should have turned around like this. Remember I said that year 23 October should have been the low. It went a little bit lower. Now remember, not all altcoins actually dropped the same as Bitcoin. There's numerous altcoins that never dropped lower than the 24 September low, as a matter of fact, this one here. And that was the indicator that the bottom was almost in, but just prolonged, stretched out over 90 days extra. Nonetheless, we've got this drop here, and we had this drop here. It's inevitable that this AMTR, the Algorithm Major Trend Reversal, is complete now. And we are now turning upwards. In effect, guys, what's happening is that this is what's going to happen, and that's going to swing up to this target here of about 12,000 Bitcoin. I'm mentioning 12,000. It could be 11.8. It could be 12.1, depending on the exchange that you use. Okay, the exchanges change their prices to will whatever they want to do. So it's going to be around about that 12,000 figure. I'm going to work on 12,000 for now. So this should have been very short or shorter or compressed. Nonetheless, we've got a 30-day cycle, 30-day. Now come here, right at this point here. Remember, that's a 30-day cycle as well for the month of November. See, we're now in November here. Then here between December and then in January, things changed again. This was the end on 18 December, the end of the cycle date. From this date here, and I'm going to make this a little bit larger here, and this may help us immensely going forward if my analysis on this is correct. This date here is the end, 17 December. On 18 December, the market moved upwards. If we dropped lower than the 18 December low, I would have recommended that we sell and get out because we're going to buy back on the bottom. But now I'm recommending that we stay in the market. Okay. Now, what has happened is here is that we are now in a 16.5 day cycle. Every 16.5 days, 16 and a half days, something significant is going to happen. Now, this first cycle date ended here on about 2 January 2020. On the 2nd of January, recall that we said that we expect a breakout here. And look at that, that is 16.5 days up till there. The next 16.5 days ends on about 18 January to 20 January. What is going to happen next is that we are going to have this catapult event here. Now remember, that top there is a little bit high. It shouldn't have been that high. The market should have been, let me give you an idea, it should have probably flattened about there. But this was due to gold spiking and Bitcoin spiking as well. Okay, so the market here now is expected to come down and follow this little channel here and then break out. And I'm soon going to get into more detail there and show you what I believe is going to happen. But we are going to follow this pattern here. On the 20th, expect around about the 20, just give me a break, a day or two here or there. We are going to have a big spike upwards into about 9,000, over 9,000 Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies are going to move as well. Then we're going to have a bit of a downtrend, and it's going to follow this pattern here. right up to this top here. At this top here, I'm not going to give away the data yet, what's going to happen there. But at this top here, you need to come and watch the next webinars. I'm going to show you what's going to happen there. We don't need to get into that yet. I believe the high point is going to be around about 13 February, between the date of 13 February and 20 February. This will take about 7 days. What's going to happen there? I call this the Wall Street King's Crown. You need to be very careful. There's going to be points to be careful. The first careful point, and I'm warning you now, is 9,000 Bitcoin. Limit exposure. LE. Limit exposure on the next upcycle. Okay? The second upcycle, limit exposure, is going to be there. Limit exposure. Okay, you know what I mean with limit exposure. We can't tell you to buy and sell. Okay, and the next one here is LE, limit exposure, right at that top there. And once we get to that top there, we will explain a little bit in more detail what's going to happen. Remember this, guys, we do trend trading. I don't advocate short-term trading. If you want to get into short-term trading, you can contact Wendy. I mean, she's pretty successful in what she does, and I commend you for that, Wendy. You're doing really good. Yeah, you're a fantastic wife, great partner. You're doing really good. There are, guys, remember this. There's two thought patterns in the crypto world. You can do long-term trading. I advocate long-term trading. I buy in the bottom, I sell at the top. That's what I'm interested in. I want to know where the bottom is. The bottom was here on 18 December when I said that is the low, the suspected low. Because you get outside factors with these Wall Street people that want to nail the market and just take people out and buy people's cryptos. I've told you the story how I lost my Apple shares. In 1999, when the dot-com bubble burst, I sold my Apple shares for pennies. If I kept that now, I would have been worth millions, only 20 years later. The same with cryptos, guys. Don't get out of this now. And remember, it's not financial advice. I just want to make this clear. But anyway, now let's get into a little bit more detail. I'm going to log into this section here. Okay, well, the other thing that I just quickly want to explain here is when you draw your channel, start your channel from this high point here, right down to that target point there of about 5 January. This is the new channel. Nobody in the world is seeing this. The 53-day cycle from this spike. Don't go to the top of that. You can if you want. You can probably put it there, but that will actually bring it down a little bit. In my case, we are just using this one there because you have to give it a day or two just for the cycle pattern to kick into gear, basically. And that gives you this break here that has occurred. Shouldn't have been that high. But I'm going to get into this now for you. Let me see, where is that? Is that Bitcoin? Yeah. Was it that one? Here we go. Okay. Now, first of all, remember this now that I am here now. See this break here? That break is what you are seeing here. Exactly there now. See that stab up? I'm on 12 hours here. That stab up. I'm going to go back to Bitcoin. There we go. There it is. So that's the stab, and I'm now on 30 minutes. I'm probably going to change this. Let's change this to 2 hours. And I'm going to show you now what I'm seeing here. Sure.
Somebody is asking if you shouldn't be looking at Litecoin since it is the leading indicator right now.
We're going to get into Litecoin shortly. Litecoin is the leading indicator, and I'm going to just show Bitcoin first, and then we're going to get into Litecoin. Guys, by the way, that's a good comment. The person who made that comment. Only look at Bitcoin and Litecoin. Forget about any other coin. You're going to confuse yourself. You're going to see all these charts from all these people all around the world of this coin is doing that, and that coin is doing this, and VET is doing this, and Link is going this way. You're going to confuse yourself. Be pragmatic in your thought process. You know, when I was young, I focused on one thing. I said I want to become the best student. I didn't focus on 4 or 5 things. I focused on one thing, and I made a success. And then I went to the next thing and said I want to be the best in sport. Okay, so focus on Bitcoin and Litecoin. Stop looking at all these different charts. You can look at them, but look at them and just take note of it. Let's get into this now. Here, the breakout here. Okay, what I've done here is this pattern here, you can see that I took it there from the top. As I say, you can basically do it from that point on, no problem. But let's just leave it there for now. Everybody will understand that. Now, this pattern does not, remember this pattern here does not carry on. It doesn't carry on. This pattern here already stopped there, and this is where we all got fooled. This pattern here drops down into this point here where it breaks out. And it's not really a channel moving downwards. It's what I call, every now and then we find new things, and I call this a specific algorithm channel. And I'm going to use this again because this is going to come up again. Remember we said that all these patterns have been repeating themselves. Remember I spoke about the twins. Remember these two twins, twin 1 and twin 2. There's your evidence that this whole pattern, the whole pattern here, you can actually draw that bigger. That whole pattern is just a repeat of what happened here. Deliberately put in to push people out of cryptos. And I've warned so many people, don't sell, don't sell, don't sell. Stay in the market. Let's go back to Bitcoin here. Now you can see that Bitcoin came down to this bottom here. It created kind of like a inverted head and shoulders. It went up, that is correct, right height. And then it dropped, went sideways and came here to this low point here, here on 17 or 18 December, which was the true low point. That, by the way, I'm going to do it again, guys. This is your 53-day cycle, exactly to there. Okay, we work on 12 hours here now, but that's about 53 days before this market started breaking upwards there. Okay, can you see that big spike there? Let me just make it large. That is the end. Between a 30 and a 53-day cycle, a new cycle starts. Now, from here onwards, what has happened is that we have a, let me just delete this. This will be confusing. From here onwards, we have a 16.5-day cycle. That cycle, if I take this right up to that point there, see there, a 15 point, see where that ends there, right there to that low point there. And come and watch this video again if you want. And then the next cycle date where we're expecting a big breakout is this cycle date here on 18 January 2020. And remember I said that there's going to be a significant date where we are going to start the breakout. Remember the 18th is not necessarily the breakout date, but the 20th in this on the 18th. Now, Mike, you actually emailed me and said to me, but did you realize that the 18th is a Saturday? Now, it's uncommon for the market to start an uptrend on a Saturday American time. But guys, I expect that it's going to do an upcycle on that Saturday, the Friday, Saturday next week. And Sunday, and come Monday, we're going to have a vertical breakout. You're going to see this, a vertical breakout upwards that will take Bitcoin to about 9,000. Again, remember what I said. If I am correct with this, there's your wording there. Okay, limit exposure. Now remember this, if I say limit exposure, you don't have to limit exposure. You know the market is going to go to 12,000. If you want to trade the long-term trend, you simply keep. Because it's very difficult if you sell on the top there, it's difficult to find the top, and then it's difficult, where's the bottom? Okay, so, but if you can kind of like sell the top, and the top normally looks like a spike. Remember this, guys, what you saw here, you can actually take this as an example. Where is that now? See here, where it's spiked upwards. You'll always have a spike upwards and then a big pullback. When you see a pullback like that, I normally sell on that pullback. Over 9,000, that's where I will sell. And I only sell like 10 or 12 or 20%. And then I wait. If Litecoin drops, if I sell Litecoin, for example, there at 55, or let's say 60, and if Litecoin drops, let's say down to 57, it's a $3 spread. I'll buy back because I know the market is going to turn around upwards again. And I'll ladder in my buys. If I sell 10%, now I've got 10% of my Litecoin there. I sell on the top. If the market drops, I start buying 10%. It drops again, I buy 10%. I average myself inwards. Okay. Now look at this where we are right here at this market now. And for this, we are on the 2 hour. I'm probably going to put this now on the 30 minutes. And then I'm done. We're going to go at Litecoin, and then we'll get into a discussion quickly. Now, the market broke at here. As I say, this whole point here is a little bit too high. It shouldn't have been like that. But I believe that we now created maybe some form of a head and shoulders. The reason why I say this is because you can look at the volume. Now remember this, a lot of people in the crypto world are claiming a head and shoulders and a rising wedge and a double bottom and an inverse, whatever. There's so many things going on there, and you have to confirm a head and shoulders with volume. First of all, your volume spike. Then the middle there, you have to have volume there. And then you must have declining volume. So this is a perfect, actually, it's a head and shoulders in terms of technical analysis. So here the market went up, the left side, it went up to the top to form the head. And I expect that we could potentially have a low point here, see there, with a spike upwards into that level there. I drew this line here, this red line. You can see that just before we started this meeting, I think this morning, about 3 hours ago, Bitcoin tried to break above this line. It couldn't. It got rejected and is going down. Now, how far is this going to go down? Okay, I believe that let's just do mathematical equations. If I take that line there, normally your drop should be similar to this line here, which will take us, now I say normally, it's not always the case, which will take us here to about 7,200 Bitcoin. And if you read the report there, that's the low point here. I'm going to show you what we said in the report here for Bitcoin. Where did we say? Yeah. In terms of the third oval pattern in chart below, we expect some form of a pullback to form another ABCD type algorithm pattern with the low of Bitcoin being 7475, but even as low as 72 range. Okay, so you've got that now. Where does the 7,200 come from? It comes from this head and shoulders. Now remember, I prepared that report before we even did the head and shoulders. That 7,200 is just an algorithmic model that I have that predicts the next low. Now, what is going to happen here? You will find that the market potentially is going to do this. And I've already drew the black line in. Let me just clear these marks here. And I'm really hoping, guys, that our algorithm analysis here is really great. What I'm expecting perhaps is that this will just bounce off this top here. See that top? So instead of going too far low, you look at about 7.3. But as it goes down, you will see it will go down to about 7.2, even down to this tipping point there of 7.247, maybe as low as 7.223, depending on what exchange you obviously trade. If you look at Binance and perhaps Bitstamp, you're going to see this maybe about 7.150. Okay, so keep in mind, the low is not in yet, in my opinion. What is going to happen is that I believe that we are going to go downwards to a point here. I don't exactly know how high or how low. It could be here. Remember, it could be here, because keep in mind that this algorithm indicator, this Python y-axis, is going to do perhaps something like this. It's going to go like this, and then here it's going to break out upwards. Now let me just make this a purple line so we can distinguish what that is and what it's going to look like. Maybe make that there. Okay, so this will form that. There is a probability that we're going to bounce off this, go up, and then the second attempt, if it breaks this indicator, you will find that we could potentially then go down to this level here, and then this level here is going to go downwards. This is why I say, you know, if you look at Wendy's RSI indicator and all the other indicators, the RSI is a good one to watch. You can do that on a minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 12 hours as well. And I've actually got the RSI here on the bottom too. Let me just... No, guys, we actually, to be honest with you, I don't use any technical data. I have an algorithm, so I use our algorithm data. What we do is we create certain points, and my algorithm kicks out the results in a format, and then we come back and put it into our charting. So we work on pieces of paper. It's a little bit old school, actually. I wish there was a way that I could create a format and show you what it's going to be. But for example, we knew that the low could be about 7.2. That's why I put it in the report. And I didn't know there's going to be a head and shoulder there. I only found it out till this happened, and only last night, I think about 12 hours ago, I realized this could be a head and shoulder. And then I looked at this and said, oh, it lines up with my algorithm data. Now remember, we don't use Fibonacci, but for some reason my data lines up with Fibonacci. Yeah, just on default, but I don't use that to trade because I trade long term. I know where, as I just said, yeah, just for that person who asked the question, I know where these jumps are going to be. And I've just given that to you as well now, where I said limit exposure here. There's going to be jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up till the high point there. So I know where they are more or less, and I just sit back and trade. Now let's just quickly get back into this here. What is going to happen here, in my opinion, is that we could perhaps have a retracement here of 13%. See there? Now remember what I said last week. Somebody asked me and they said, how far does Bitcoin normally retrace and how far does Litecoin retrace? You are going to find that Bitcoin will probably retrace about 13%. Let's move over to Litecoin. Litecoin, in my opinion, is probably going to retrace about 12.72%. I put it in here yesterday. Round about here, 12.9, 12.3%, round about to this level here. And that target there is about 42. Now remember that I placed my buyback orders at about 41, I think 41.5, 41.6. I expect that Litecoin could potentially come down. Now, let's see what is happening here with Litecoin. Now, remember here that we said the target could be about 45.8, 48.9 in this range, and it hit perfectly between the target, and now we are heading down. I'm going to move this now, and I haven't yet, no, I have. Sorry, I have. This is the new cycle pattern. You can probably put that there. And you can most likely just put that there. So what you're going to see is you will find a touch there, and you'll find a touch there. Okay, so let me just remove that. You've got that now. So now I'm going to log in here, and I'm now on 2 hours. I'm going to show you now with Litecoin what Litecoin is going to do. Litecoin broke out of this channel at this point here, and it broke into this $48 mark. If you compared it with Bitcoin, then Litecoin should have actually hit about this level here of about 55. Now, Litecoin didn't do that. Only Bitcoin went up. Because remember, Litecoin and Bitcoin almost made the same percentage. Bitcoin went up about 38%, I think, from the bottom. Litecoin about 40%. Litecoin should have actually gone more. And remember, Litecoin is going to outperform Bitcoin. I'm going to show you this shortly, right up to the high point. So you want to be in Litecoin and not necessarily in other altcoins. People think that the altcoins are going to move as well. Yes, there are some altcoins that are going to move, but not all of them are going to catch this big wave upwards. Litecoin will, and Bitcoin will. I am not 100% convinced that Digibyte will do the same gains, or Ethereum. Bitcoin Cash may, and we're going to get into that shortly as well. Now, at this point here, you can see here that Litecoin, similar to that of Bitcoin, has also now created a head and shoulders. There you go, right up to that top there, and perhaps there. It should actually come a little bit lower. Now you can see that Litecoin still hasn't broken this low point here where I believe that Bitcoin has. Okay, now, the low point here, if you were to take this point here for Litecoin from that top, right through to this point here, again, is just a quick way to see it. It doesn't always work like this. Is that your low point could perhaps be somewhere in this region. We put a price label there. This shows 39.6. Now, if I put another label there, I'll just move, yeah, let me take this one. If it goes to this low point here, that's about 40. If it goes low to that point, that's about 41. I placed my orders at 41.6 to buy back. I believe that the pattern that we are going to look at is something that you see here, maybe dragged out a little bit. Okay, something like this. So you can see that we're now in this pattern where we're going to drop down slightly. I expect Litecoin to come down slightly. It doesn't look like it because you see this candle here just moving up and up and up, but I do expect that there's going to be some form of a breakdown here. One of the reasons is, just look at this. This Python Y-axis if you take that line there, you can see that there's big resistance there. Now, we should go upwards here a little bit, and then we're going to have a bit of a drop at some point here. Once Litecoin, let me just draw that trend line there. Once Litecoin breaks there, maybe on January 11, around about there, it's going to be a waterfall drop, and the market will come straight away down and then follow that pattern. This is what I'm expecting. Now remember this, guys, this borderlines now on day trading. I'm not a day trading guy. I trade the trend. So this for me, I sold you on the top. I'm just looking at entering in the back. Now keep in mind, if this market here breaks out, this will invalidate the head and shoulders. But if you look at Bitcoin, keep in mind, Bitcoin has already broken that trend line. Okay, so that is a confirmation that Bitcoin is now leading the way in terms of breaking down. So expect that to stop and perhaps come down, maybe a little bit later. Now, let's quickly have a look and see what is going to happen with Litecoin as well. I expected Litecoin, similar to what we are now, depending on how high and how low we go now again, at some point here, it's going to do this and it's going to follow this line here. See how this narrows down to a point here? It's going to do exactly this and come to a point here on 18th of January. I expect that the uptrend is going to start forming. And then on the 20th, we are going to have a vertical breakout. And how high that's going to go, I don't really know yet. But what I can tell you is that Bitcoin is going to be over $9,000. It could be that we either hit this target here of 55 or this target as resistance of 62. Now, if you go back here to the left-hand side of the chart, you'll find that this blue line here of 62, remember, that's the 15 October 2018 high point. I expect that we could go up to 61, 62, round about that level there. There's going to be big resistance here, and then come down slightly, go back and break out again. Again, that is potentially your limit exposure event. Now, let me quickly get into Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash, similar to that of Bitcoin and Litecoin, has also formed a head and shoulders on the top. And let me just quickly get into that here. If I may, I'm just going to put this also just on 30 minutes so we can see what is happening here. Now, similar to this of Litecoin, is following the similar path, meaning that it hasn't dropped yet below this target line here, which is that target line there. As soon as we see this market dropping down here, later on here, maybe 11. So it could potentially, remember this is just potential, targets. It could do this, that, could go like this, and come here and drop. It could go down to this target here. This is why I'm not really playing too much in Bitcoin Cash. I think I put my target here at 215. See that green line? That's where I'm buying back. What did I want to do? Oh, the price target. So I'm going to buy back here at 215. Let me just get the right thing here quickly. The price label. There. That's my target of 215. And I've already placed my orders. There's thousands of orders placed on exchanges to buy back Bitcoin Cash. Now, could it go lower? Yeah, it could. It could even go as low as 209. Am I worried about it? No, because I sold exactly at this top. I sold there. If I come back and buy there, I increase my crypto count. I make more Bitcoin. So am I worried about losing a little bit there? No. Can I move this up? Yes. If I see that the market doesn't want to drop, then I'll just buy back higher. I'll just move that up to 220. If it bounces off this, there's always a big probability that it could bounce, let's say, off this and not break it, and then go like that till it then breaks out on the 18th. Then I'll simply just move my target up to 230. It just means that I sold here at about 240, and I'm just going to make a smaller gain, but I will still make a gain. So you need to be prepared for these kind of events where it doesn't drop too low. And history has shown us, guys, that Bitcoin Cash doesn't drop that quick. Be mindful of that. Now, Ethereum. Ethereum is a different beast. Ethereum again is creating a head and shoulders there at the top. I'm expecting that Ethereum, which went up 27%, could perhaps drop down to this level here of about 134. But look where it is now. It's already on about 137. So you don't want to sell Ethereum right now because there's too small of a margin in Ethereum. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go to the 30 minutes again so we can expand it and look at that a little bit more in detail. Okay, there we go. As a matter of fact, this one has actually, hasn't really done it yet, but it's actually already almost, yeah, it's actually broken that target there. So what I mean is that, see this head and shoulders there, there, and there. So it's actually busy breaking that. And as you know, Ethereum actually breaks things first, and it's sometimes first to go up as well. But I have not sold any of my Ethereum because the spread here, in my opinion, was a little bit too low. So in my case, I could have sold yesterday and I was looking at it, selling there at the top, maybe come back and buy in the bottom. If you haven't sold yet, I wouldn't take the chance because from here, the market could drop perhaps into this level here. I'm just simply holding my Ethereum. I'll buy back. If you were lucky enough to sell on the top there, I would probably put my buy signals back. And remember again, guys, I'm not advocating day trading. I would probably put it in here 134. That's a $10 spread, which is not that bad at all. It can even go down 131. Because what's going to happen is it can't go lower than this target line here, the 131. What is going to happen, similar to that of Bitcoin and Litecoin, is that you are going to find that it will come down to a certain point here. How low that is, I don't know. And here on the 18th, it's going to make a move. It's just simply going to go up. It's going to come here on the 20th and go directly upwards like that. We are going to have a vertical spike out upwards there. And it's going to break this trend line. How high it's going to go, I don't really know. But you need to look at Litecoin at that point. Litecoin about 65, Bitcoin about 9,000. In this case, I would say that Bitcoin is more reliant. You need to see where Bitcoin stops, and then we see where Litecoin stops, and then Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash will stop at that point too, and so will Digibyte and all other coins. Now, Litecoin is still the leading indicator, believe it or not. What all that happened here was that gold started moving, the rumors of war were there, and Bitcoin started moving. But nothing in the crypto world is going to move. Guys, nothing will move unless Litecoin has this big breakout. You are going to see that Litecoin will form at first. Litecoin will do it first. In terms of outperformance of Litecoin versus Bitcoin, let's quickly have a look at this. I've just drawn this model here. I mean, this is a crazy model when you look at this. This doesn't line up with anything really. There's no chart pattern. There's no sequence. It's just a messed up chart, you know, between the two coins on the daily now on Bitfinex. But let's have a look and see what I see is going to happen here. You can already see that since here on the bottom, remember I said that Litecoin is going to outperform Bitcoin by about 34 to 40%. Okay, so it'll make 40% more money than trading Litecoin than Bitcoin. It's going to outperform Bitcoin. Now here on the bottom, right up to that top, let's just see what the gain is so far. So you can see that Litecoin outperformed Bitcoin so far from December 1918 with about 8.69%. I expect that we are going to hit this 37-40% mark here, right at that top there. Okay, and then obviously it's not going to stop there. Remember, this is only short term, so we're trading. There, Bitcoin hits $12,000, Litecoin 100, and bang, you've got a 38% gain extra in Litecoin, and then there's a big drop happening. And I'm not going to get into that now. I'll explain that at some point. But you want to be out of the market at that point. I'll explain that at some point. I just quickly want to get into Link. The pattern with Link, I'm working on Link to find out where the high point for Link will be. Remember I said that link is going to follow the algorithmic pattern of BNB. Now what I've done here, thanks for our team who's actually done this, and I'm going to show you where the first line is. Remember I said this is going to form a broadening wedge. A broadening wedge is this. Just for those people who are watching this video, you've got a coin that does this, okay? And then what we say is that is a broadening wedge, meaning that your next move up is there, your next down is there, your next move is there, and then it forms a larger broadening wedge. Now, if you look at this pattern here, this is what BNB has formed. It's common in about 6% of all cryptos, a broadening wedge. Now, here with this thing here, let me just quickly remove this red line here and you'll see what I see here. And I'm going to move this line here as well. We have now identified this bottom trend. We haven't yet identified the top trend, but the top trend could potentially look like this. If the bottom trend here is that trend there, it's that trend there, remember that one there on that side, then the top trend could potentially be this one, maybe here. Something like that, okay? Depending on where we're going to put that, the only way we will be able to find out this broadening wedge where the high point is going to be is if we find this next high point. I believe that this next high point, I'm going to show you this, is going to be two mathematical equation factors. First of all, the first target here is 127 at that green point there, and you can see there, let me just open that up a little bit. The first target for Link, and remember we are trading Link. Link is a great coin, you must keep it, is going to be 3.7. 3.7 for that target. It could potentially go up to 143% to that target there, and that's a blue line of about $4. I am going to sell. Okay, remember this. This is going to move on actually to what was that date? 17. Let me just see what the end date was here. This one, 20 February is the predicted high point. Okay. So I just want to move this target here to 20 February. So your target point is about there. Now remember this, regardless where this is going to stop, we expect this target to be hit here around about 20 on the latest. But wherever this high point is going to be, whether it's there or there, we are going to look at Bitcoin and Litecoin. Wherever they stop, tentative now, Bitcoin 12,000, Litecoin 100, 107. And remember what I said just again, I want to reiterate this again. The longer we move sideways, the lower the $100 will become. And I just want to make this, I haven't mentioned this yet. And remember this, guys, this is going to be the heartbeat. This is going to break all major indicators. It's going to be crazy, but it's going to happen. As crazy as what it sounds. It's only happened, I think, once before, very mediocre, but it's going to, January, well, remember I said that January 1820 is going to be the first break, and then it goes into 20 February as the high point. I don't know if I mentioned that as 1820 February, the high point. I think I mentioned that in Bitcoin. So we expect the high point, guys, to be about 20 February. My apologies if I missed that, to be that figure there, round about there. And that price there at the moment, look at that, that is exactly about $98. If we move onwards, we will have a lower point. But tentative, I would say, I still don't want to rule out 107, but let's have a look backwards quickly and we see where is this target here. Pull that blue line down to about that target there. And let's go back here to the left-hand side. Look at this. This is very, very interesting. It's exactly at that point there without the spike. The spike, if we have a spike, it will take us to 107. But I believe that this high point for Bitcoin, or sorry, for Litecoin, is going to be that point there exactly of 5 August 2019. Remember, the future of any crypto depends on what happened in the past. If you can find those right figures on the past, it won't always repeat the patterns of the past. It's like you see all these people now looking at XRP and they're saying that XRP is going to moon and it's going to go to $10. Guys, it's not going to happen yet. Be very careful with XRP. XRP, as a matter of fact, will just do what I told you here now. It's going to stop. When Litecoin goes to that top there and stops, XRP is going to stop as well. And then it's going to drop. And all those people will be very disappointed. It's better that we are conservative than just say that things will go to $10 and $20. Yes, it's going to happen, but not now. And I know why people say that. They look at the old patterns of XRP and they say, if that pattern repeats itself, then this will happen. And remember, they say if. Everything is if. But let's rather play and be conservative. At this point here, still some time to get there because we look at next month, the 18th. That's about 30, 35, 40 days. Wendy, let's get into questions quickly.
Okay. The first question is on Litecoin. You said that you're buying back in with the Litecoin at 41.6. Is that a single point buyback in? In general, do you ladder out in many steps and ladder in quickly?
Yeah, let me explain that. That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. What I've done with Litecoin, you can only buy back 5,000 Litecoin at any given time. But let's say if you trade 10 or 20 Litecoin, in my case, I decided 41.6, I think, was my entry for every single Litecoin. Now, the reason I do it like this, so let's say my entry point is 41.6, I placed it there. If I find that we do not drop that low, so let's say, for example, if we go up here now and this thing comes only there and it bounces off that and it stays there. Remember, I've got 7 days to check this from there, which is now 11 till the 18th. I can check and I'm patient, so I'm waiting. I'm not going to be in a rush. For the next week, it's going to be slow. It's going to go sideways. So if I find that Litecoin closer to this time of the week, now it may go up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday goes up, and then on Thursday, remember, every Thursday is a drop. So, and then next week, Thursday, if I find that, wow, this is now dropping to that level and it's not going to go low, I'm going to cancel my order and buy back at that point there. So yes, I've placed my orders there to buy every single thing back at 41.6, just in case that we have a big drop. Just remember what it shows here. See this waterfall drop here, the black mark. Let me just clear the screen up here. I'm expecting that we could have potentially, be very careful for this. See there, it could do this, could go a little bit higher, come down here. Once it goes through there, it's just going to drop like a rock. That is what I'm expecting. I'm hoping this could happen. And then my orders, every single order of 41.6 will be filled. Now, you, as I say, you can put it a little bit lower. You can put it at 40.8 maybe. But in my case, 41.6, because I want to catch that wave when it falls. If it doesn't happen, I'll simply just move my order back up.
Okay. Alex Muir has a question, but I can't unmute him.
Yes, I'm Arius. I have a question. When I look on the weekly MACD, there you can actually see that Bitcoin will flip soon in the positive there. Normally already by next week, maximum the week after. And I would like to know, do you really think that we could drop that fast to like 7.2, like $7,200 and then shoot straight back up? Because it's really like a short period of time.
Yes, Alex, thanks for that question. I do believe that we can drop to a lower number. Remember this, I'm basing it on the fact that we have got a head and shoulders. Head and shoulders always drops. You can say whatever you want, it will drop.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And my algorithm data before I saw this head and shoulders actually pointed down to a drop, a potential drop here to 7.2. So when I saw this last night, I went like, that's interesting. It's actually lining up with my data to 7.2. Look, this is going to catch a lot of people off guard because remember this, Wall Street probably knew long before the time that there's going to be missile attacks and, you know, that Baghdad, that they will attack the American embassy in, where's that, in Afghanistan, I think, or Iraq, the American embassy in Iraq. And they were probably playing this very, very nicely up till the high point. And they know what comes next after Head and Shoulders. And you can see the huge amount of volume actually that went in there at that point there. They know that after Head and Shoulders, and we need to think like they think, it's going to drop. Whether it doesn't look like this. And this is what they always do. They run these things, whether it is their move manipulates it or whether it's maybe just the market movements. I don't know. We can't really say. Okay, but let's say this is normal market movements. Normal market movements show that the market is going to drop. Now, what happens here, I had a pattern in there. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened with it. I took it out. But this shows to me that it comes down, right down to the top. Right up to that top there. See the top here, Alex? Yeah, it doesn't show that it actually drops below that. But there's always a probability, because what happens here is when the market drops, every single person is going to start selling because people are scared and they don't know. People don't know what we know. Most people just trade in the dark. I don't know how people do this. You know, you must have a plan. At least our plan is that we can potentially drop here. If it drops lower, we buy. But as I say, I've placed my orders back at these levels. I'm prepared to buy lower if I want. It's going to be a cat and mouse game really for me with Bitcoin. But if this is, think about this now. Okay, let's move this. Let's put this there. Okay, let's say ABC correction is normally 5 waves down. Now, wait a second, Alex. Yeah, what I saw in my data, it's not going to be 5 waves down, ABC up, and 5 waves down. This is where, I forgot to tell this to you. This is where analysts around the world are going to have it wrong. Let me show you what's going to happen here. This correction here, which is normally an ABC correction, is not going to play out as everybody think it's going to do. Sorry, I nearly forgot to mention this.
Yeah, no
this
problem.
is going to be 5 waves down. And this is how we're going to measure this. This is one. I think this is the first leg. I haven't confirmed this yet. And then it's going to go down like this, up, and somewhere like this. It's not going to form an ABC correction. I should actually take this out. Let me take that out. That shouldn't be there. This is how it's going to play out from what I see in my data. Let's just make this a little bit thicker. Okay, I just quickly want to explain this. Now look at this here. This you can literally follow this, Alex, and everybody here online too. Look at this play for a second, and that could be leg number 3, 4, and 5 downwards there. It's remarkable that it's going to do only 5 legs and not an ABC correction. But as I say, Bitcoin doesn't comply with all these Elliott wave rules. Now remember this could easily be there. Remember that, and that could be number 2, and then number 3, 4, a little bit more dragged out like I'm showing it here now.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to be something like this. And then when you condense it, and mark my words, this is, I tell you now, that's what it's going to be. And then from this point onwards, you are going to see that somewhere here is that we are going to create a low point. Somewhere here. Let's say if the low is in there, then you can literally calculate 1, 2, 3 is going to be the big spike. Okay, up to that level and a little bit of a stab through. 3 will probably be about 8, 9, and then we can head over 9. And this will complete this Elliott wave to that first leg. So that's how it's going to be, and this one will actually end about there. So 5 waves down, 5 waves up. This is what you're going to see, kind of like a cup and handle. Okay, so I hope everybody gets that picture. My apologies, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, no problem. Then just another thing that I wanted to mention. Yesterday, I tried to sell a little bit over 100 Litecoins on Binance. Guess how long it took me to sell them?
Did you sell it at market value or at a certain price?
On market value.
How long?
35 minutes until they got bought. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
35 minutes, no liquidity at all there for a little bit more than 100 coins.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking, okay, I just sell them. It was like around 47 something. I was just going to the refrigerator to get some water and was thinking when I come back they are sold. I was like, what the heck? Why they are still there?
Yes, that's the first time I've ever heard it on market value. That's incredible. But it could be that there's fear in the market where people just didn't want to buy, you know. Interesting,
Yeah.
actually. Very interesting. No, that's great. Thanks for that info, Alex.
Yeah.
All right, I have another question. We have BNB and XRP, please.
Okay, let's have a look and see if I've got BNB here. I'm going to go through that quickly. BNB, one of my favorite coins. I'm here on the day chart here. Now remember this, at BNB is forming this very, very large broadening wedge, guys. As we said, nothing has changed from our prediction of last week. You can now see that BNB is up about almost 31%. Let's drop it down. With this drop now today, about 19 or 20%. Let's just move that out. Our first target is about $17, right there to that target point there. But long term, you're going to see this gain here of about 306%. Do not exclude BNB from your portfolio. It's one of the best long-term coins that you can hold. So the targets here still stays the same. Let's just zoom in. I'm going to show you what we see. Again here, this is what we basically call a falling wedge. You look at this as your, let me just put I'm just going to use the Elliott wave. It's the wrong one to do. You really want to use ABCD, but nonetheless, that's your leg down, 2, 3, 4, a bit of a drop here into 20, and then you're going to have a breakout here. So this breakout here is similar to that of Bitcoin, probably around about the 20th is going to break upwards. How high, I don't really know at this moment. But in general terms, I think I did do an analysis on the top 40 crypto report. I can't remember what it said, but you're going to look at probably around about, again, like every single coin really, I would probably say around about this high point 170. I can't remember what it is in the top 40 crypto report. By the way, guys, let me just mention this, the top 40 crypto report, since we've got this new analysis now with the new date time frame, so I'm going to update the top 40 crypto report. The predictions that we have in there is fine, but it's just the timeline. Our new timeline for the high is not really 20 February, but it's going to be about 14, 13 February with an extended position up till about 20. Now remember, guys, these are just indicators. I can be wrong. I mean, to identify things in the future, yeah, it's completely difficult. You have to think outside the square. You have to really stretch your mind and have a lot of data to make these decisions. And I'm trying to bring you information that will help you that could potentially happen in the future. Nobody can predict the future. Nobody is God. Nobody is a prophet. And you even see that prophets are wrong as well. People who've been claiming that there's going to be like a big financial crash in December of 2019, these are prophets. And they heard it from, I don't know, whatever data they use. And now they've moved it into January. Nobody can predict the future. We are attempting to do it. And when we at least do an attempt, we could potentially be correct. I believe that this is the pattern that's going to play out, the high point around by 13 February and then 20 February, the extended high point. Now, with regard to BNB, it could easily go up 170%. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's get into XRP. I don't think I've got XRP here. Okay, while I'm just waiting for the XRP chart, let's just, if there's any other questions, Wendy, we can quickly go through that.
Nano and the Neo.
Nano, I don't believe I've got Nano here. Is Nano in the, I don't believe that's in the top 40 crypto report, is it?
No, then do Neo.
Yeah, let's quickly get into Neo here. Neo is a very interesting coin in the sense that if you look at it on the day chart, let me quickly show you here. I think it's, which one is it now? That one there. Sorry, not the day chart, but if you compare Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Neo, NEO is like, if you use it on a 15-minute, NEO will normally show you where Bitcoin and Litecoin will go first. Like, for example, you'll see that here, NEO dropped first. If you watch it live now, right now it just shows that there's a little bit upside. I normally just use this as a short-term indicator. As I say, I don't really do day trading, but if you drink a coffee and you sit here in the kitchen and you just want to look at something, it's nice to have a look at 3 charts. This shows short-term upside, but very interesting here. What you can see here actually on NEO, short-term, is that NEO is in a down cycle. Okay, there we go. There's the, come on. See that points downwards, and it could potentially have a little bit of effect where we go downwards here slightly. As a matter of fact, all of these are just pointing downwards. But let's have a look at NEO longer term. Very nice. See this bottom here? This is the algorithm trend reversal. NEO is one of those coins. Remember here that I said on 24 September, right there, that certain coins created a mathematical low point and will never ever go lower. NEO is one of them. There we go. That's the low point there. Effectively, what you can say is that that is a double bottom. And the market went up and it never ever went lower. But what happened here is, this is an amazing crypto, really, when you look at it in the 12-hour chart. I love this. This is like we said last week, it's turning around. It's going to go upwards. And remember, I'm still here on the 12 hours. So what we see here short term, if we take into effect, let's just put that in, and many of these charts haven't been updated because we've only got this new data now. You look at about, let's say 20 February for the high point, we still look at about $18 around about there, and into that target price right there. So that's more or less what you're going to look at. Now, that target price there is the high point. It could be that we come down to this point here, exactly there at 16.9. This high point here comes from the 15 October 2018 high point. See that high point there? It could be that we stab through and just go up to that high point and then it drops by breaking these indicators a little bit. So it may just go slightly higher. Keep that in mind. Now, how much gain is there? There's probably about, from the bottom, if you look at the bottom where the bottom was in, you look at about 159 maximum up to about 370. It's going to give some nice gains. If you look at it from where it is now, there could be a little bit of a drop there, but you still look at about 80 to 92%. I do believe that NEO short term, like all the other coins, could potentially have a bit of a drop. Let's just have a look and see. I'm going to log into there and just put that on the 30 minutes and just see what's happening there. Yeah, see, this thing here doesn't really do the same as what Bitcoin is doing. If you really want to do a head and shoulders here, this is very, very complicated actually to do a head and shoulders. If you look at this here, that's your head. There's not really a right shoulder, although you probably can say that that is the high point there. But volume doesn't really confirm authentic head and shoulders. That's fine. Nothing really there, but let's say if you do argue and say that is a little bit of volume, remember NEO may be traded very thinly, and then you have declining volume there. So it could perhaps just be a head and shoulders. It's got the same kind of pattern, but I wouldn't call this a authentic head and shoulders. But if that is the case, then what you look at, we'll keep an eye here on NEO, that if it does come down, what it must do next is really just come down, break that trend line, and then you're going to see a drop up till probably about this level here, 8.4. Now remember this, I own NEO. I'm not going to sell NEO. I'm just simply keeping it. You can't trade every single coin. It's just literally impossible, you know, because as like I said, I can focus on one or two things. Yeah, so you probably look at around about that level there, 860, around about more or less. So if you want to sell now, you can make a fair amount of gain, but for me, this is very, very tight. I like to trade long term. So you probably see another drop there of about 9%. Similar to that of Litecoin, another 9%, Bitcoin, another 9% drop. Now remember this, it won't drop overnight. What happens here is cryptos use us like we caught a frog. We put that frog in a pot of cold water and we slowly boil it, and the water gets warmer, and the frog swims around, and before the frog knows he's dead. Cryptos does the same with us. Cryptos won't just simply today. Look what happened here. Let's go back. Okay, let's use this one as an example. A drop there, and suddenly you'll see there's a drop of 2 or 3%. Then it goes sideways. Then it drops the next day again, 1.7%. It goes sideways. Then the next day it drops 2%. So it's slow. Now every day when you look at it, you look like, oh, well, it only dropped 2%. The next day, oh, well, it only dropped 1.5%. But guess what? After a week, you suddenly wake up just like this frog and the water is warm. And suddenly you realize that it dropped, oh, bang, 10%. And you want to kick yourself because you say to yourself, man, I should have sold at that point. Previously, remember, I've been talking about your internal gut feeling. When I was in school and we played a rugby game or sports event, you always get that butterflies on your stomach. When you get those butterflies in your stomach and your own consciousness tells you that, look, you need to be careful, you may want to sell there, do it. Learn to trade from your gut. I know it's uncommon, guys, because many people will tell you trade with objective evidence. You can't always do it. Your gut, listen to yourself. You're the smartest person on planet Earth. You're smarter than all technical indicators. Think about this, guys. When you walk in the park and your mind will tell you there's danger, subconsciously you will know it, and there may be danger there. There may be a lion there or a bear or something. You will know it before it happens. And then listen to yourself, turn around and walk back. The same with trading cryptos. If your gut tells you this is the eye, take action, study why your gut is telling yourself. Learn to trust yourself, learn to listen to yourself. Okay, let me just say this, guys. This is now an hour. I'm going to close this webinar meeting now. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm willing to stay on board a little bit longer if there are more questions. And I'm just going to stop this recording. Thank you for everybody that's been online. I wish you a fantastic day, fantastic week. Have a great day. Thank you. This is Marius Landman from Australia.